Sixers win it! Wow! Oh, man, and being just posterized Russell Westbrook. You love the Philadelphia Eagles! Let me get a hell yeah!
Yo, what is up, everybody? Happy Wednesday, everyone. This is Party on Broad. Welcome to POB. POB can be found on iTunes and Spotify. If you're watching us here on the Painted Lines YouTube channel, smash that subscribe button. Today, we are breaking down the Eagles' win over the Dallas Cowboys last Sunday night, and then we're going to grade the Eagles as they head into the bye week on offense, on defense, and special teams. Joining me today is my man, Rob. Follow him on Twitter at Philly_Madness. Word on the street, dude, is that this is going to be your flu game. This is your Michael Jordan flu game, right?
This is my flu game. This is my pandemic game. I am in a house, me, my 3 children, my wife, all of us testing positive for COVID this week. I actually, not only that, my actual positive test was about 4 or 5 hours ago. So I'm like literally right off the swab up the nose and on Party on Broad because we don't make excuses here. We just show up and play here at the Painted Lines.
Oh, man. 1997 Game 5. Oh,
right, baby.
I'm expecting your A game. Your A game.
Scottie Pippen. You got to be my Scottie Pippen and carry me off at the end, though. I got to put my head on the shoulder.
You're the Michael Jordan of the show. Let's be real here. All right. Also joining us today is my man Dylan, the host of the Faithful Fanatics podcast. Follow him on Twitter at DylanJD98. What's up, man?
Rob, are you sure you didn't get any bad pizza delivered to your house?
Listen, I wish that's what this was, man.
It was Carson Wentz's performance, clearly.
Just so you know, I'm not faking. That's happening.
Oh, man. Yeah, what's going on? It's a victory Wednesday now, but it sure doesn't feel like a victory if you check Twitter. So,
yes, sir.
Yeah, we'll talk about this.
All right, and now we have my man Shane. I'm so glad you're finally joining. Follow him on Twitter at halfandhalf_TPL on Twitter. Check out all of his game reviews over at thepaintedlines.com. What's up, Shane?
Oh, not much. You know, I think the happiest moment of this season for me happened about 5 minutes after the game ended on Sunday night because I just knew that we played the Giants this week, and then we had the bye week. And when I realized that this was the bye week, I didn't have to watch this team for the next 13 days. Like, I can't even explain the load that took off my shoulders.
All right. My man Shane writes, awesome, in-depth, stock up, stock down of the Philadelphia Eagles game after game. All right, let's do final takes versus the Dallas Cowboys. The good news, the Eagles ended the bye at 3-4-1 after quite possibly the ugliest win in Eagles history. The bad news, inconsistent play, top to bottom, continues to hinder the Eagles, and a brutal stretch of games is on the horizon after that New York Giants game in 2 weeks. Clearly, discussion of Sunday night's game has to begin and end with Carson Wentz. During the pregame show here on Sunday, last Sunday before the game, like all I honestly wanted to see from this game was an efficient Carson Wentz. This is a guy who's been forced to play hero ball. We all know this. But I really thought Carson played well the 2 weeks prior to this, especially during crunch time when it mattered. And boy, was that not efficient, man. In fact, this is probably Carson Wentz's worst game, 15 of 27, 123 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 17 rushing yards, 2 lost fumbles, 61.2 passer rating, his second worst of the season. Now he has 16 turnovers, 2 turnovers a game. He continues to hold the ball on too long. He continues to miss wide receivers when they're wide open. He continues to make poor decisions with the football. There's no denying that Carson Wentz was a complete disaster on Sunday night. I've given this guy a pass many times this season, and I've blamed Doug Peterson for the majority. I blamed the injuries on the offensive line for the majority of the time, but not tonight, guys. Not tonight. Carson Wentz does not get a pass tonight. But I think where it begins and ends also is just like my honest reaction was the God honest awfulness of how stubborn and arrogant the leaders of the Philadelphia Eagles are. Between Doug Peterson, Jim Schwartz, Carson Wentz, Howie Roseman, these are just the leaders of the Eagles are just so arrogant. You heard Carson Wentz's comments that he's going to continue to stay aggressive. And there's no doubt in my mind, no one at all is stepping up in front of Carson's face and saying, this needs to be fixed. This is what you need to do. And that was like my main takeaway from this game is that no one's held accountable on this team. You look at the offense and the defense side of the ball, they have been inconsistent since 2018. And that just screams to me, there's just a lack of accountability on this team, and it is just failing top to bottom. I had my man Zach Berman on 2 weeks ago, and we talked about just exactly this. Like, where does it start? Where does it end? It's honestly Jeff Lurie. And that's where I would go. That's where I'm going. Like, where does the bleeding stop? And it really I'm calling out Jeff Lurie, is that something needs to happen. Changes need to happen. And I'm talking Doug Peterson. I'm talking Jim Schwartz, because their inconsistencies are fucking up Carson Wentz. And you're seeing it on the field. You're up, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, look, Carson was terrible. In year 5, I'm kind of tired of after the game, the post-game press conference saying, I know I got to do better there. No, stop saying it. You say it with a smile. You don't mean it. Like, if you meant it, you would do it. Like, you would be better at that. And listen, I'm mainly talking about the fumbles. The one interception that he threw the ball deep, I mean, it was a bad throw. And I don't know. I haven't seen this reported. I don't know if you guys, maybe you've watched it a little closer. I know the wind was swirling in there. I know that he saw John Hightower have the inside position. I find it really hard to believe that Carson Wentz missed that much without there being – and I'm not making an excuse. You can't turn the ball over. But the 2 fumbles were bad. I don't know what he's got to do to not lose the ball every time he gets hit. I mean, it's getting to a point where it's out of control. So, yeah, I mean, I'm frustrated there. But, Dibes, I'm with you. There's no accountability on this team, okay? And everyone could say Doug's a player's coach. When do we start calling – right? People ran Brett Brown out of this town. They ran Brett Brown out of this town. And I understand that Doug won a Super Bowl. However, Doug has those same – flaws that Brett does, where it seems like he's the player's coach, but who's he coming down on? Who's he saying anything to? And then he just seems so lost at times in a game. Like, he just doesn't understand the situation. I'm over going for 2 all the time. Like, what are we – why? We're going for it every time it's 4th and 3 on the other side of the 50. Like, yes, Carson should not have fumbled that ball there. But you also probably shouldn't have been going for it. When you think about it, you're going against Ben DiNucci, who can't move the ball more than 20 yards. Why are you not just trying to play field position at that point? You're going to be okay. Play field position. But Doug's too arrogant for it. Doug has a little bit of that Andy Reid in him, where it's his way or the highway. And I'm starting to get frustrated. And to be honest with you, I don't know what he's doing with Jalen Hurts. Like, to me, there's no method. There's no, like, rhythm to it. It just seems like he'll, like, flip a coin and say, okay, let's put Jalen Hurts in the game. Dude, like, make it worth it, man. Just make it worth it. So, I mean, there is not a lot to like about this team. The only thing you could like about them is that they play in the NFC East and they're in first place by a game and a half.
No. All right, you're up, Dylan.
Rob, you want to know what I think about the Jalen Hurts package?
Yeah.
It doesn't work. Right? It doesn't work. Stop doing it. There's no creativity with it. Stop it. Look, I'm going to try to be the voice of reason a little bit here. I'm with you guys. There is no accountability. Carson Wentz played probably his worst game as the Eagles starting quarterback in 5 years. That or the Saints game in 2018 I always go back to. I'm a Wentz apologist. I got nothing for you tonight. He was flat out horrible. His play Sunday night was concerning. I'm not concerned going for after the bye week. He'll have to prove that to me more. The thing is, guys, we have to stop acting like this is a good football team right now. we're at like this conversation is as if this is a good Eagles team, a very healthy Eagles team that barely beat the Cowboys. They're not a good football team right now. A bad, beaten up Eagles team has won their second straight game. They covered a 10.5-point spread. It was ugly for the entire game. Don't get me wrong. I was mad. I was pissed off and screaming at the TV with the rest of yous. They're down 9-7 to that Cowboys team. But like Rob said, I had no fear that they were going to lose that game. And it could have been 30-9 if the defensive back doesn't make a big play. It ended up 23-9. Look, I understand the concerns. It was an ugly game. I take away nothing positive from it. I'm not enthused by anything I saw, but I get the outrage. I don't get the level of outrage I've seen on Twitter. My God, you would think Carson Wentz had 4 turnovers and they lost to Ben DiNucci and the Dallas Cowboys. I get it doesn't feel like a win, but it was a win, and they're not a very good football team right now, guys. They're 1 win away from getting to that 4-4-1 mark. So, look, it was ugly, but I'm not as, pissed off as everyone else.
I do have a positive. We'll get to that right after Shane. You're up, dude.
I would say that, the Eagles aren't a good football team. I would say that there's only one team in the entire NFL that couldn't win the NFC East this year, and it's the Jets. Literally 4 of the worst 5 teams in the NFL might play in our division. But talking about Carson Wentz, obviously the offense was terrible, and you guys have probably seen the stats, but the Cowboys defense was giving up 370 yards a game. The Eagles put up 222. They were giving up 33 points a game. The Eagles offense put up 15. Less than a half of a turnover a game, and the Eagles turned the ball over 4 times. Like, that's unforgivable. That's terrible. And this is in a game where they got Jalen Reagor back. They got Dallas Goedert back. I don't know if you guys are readers. I love to read, and so a couple of off seasons ago, I read Doug's book. I read the Nick Foles book, Believe It, when that came out. And there's a quote from that book that just kind of sticks out. And Nick Foles, he's talking about after his 27-2 season. He says in the book, looking back, I think I tried to do too much in 2014. I was trying so hard to live up to my prior accomplishments that I was putting too much pressure on myself, and my play suffered as a result. Instead of just going with what the defense was giving me, I kept trying to force big plays, passing into heavy coverage, looking for the long ball, instead of being satisfied with short yardage passes. Big plays come naturally, not by force of will. You need to stay loose. And too often that season, I was playing tight. Like, if that doesn't describe what Carson Wentz is doing, if that doesn't describe what he's been doing since the start of 2018, I don't know what does. Like, you look at this guy, you look at his career arc, right? He's drafted to sit for a year, and he's thrown into the starting roles. A week before season starts, his rookie year, and he plays fine up and down year. 2017, having the MVP year, he gets hurt, and he watches from the bench while his backup leads them to the Super Bowl. Right? He comes back in 2018, gets hurt again while the team's bottoming out, and watches Nick Foles lead them to the playoffs again. Right? And then he comes in this year, and it's supposed to be the year that the distractions are gone, and Howie drafts a quarterback in the 2nd round. And then his entire offense gets hurt to the point that, it's him and Jason Kelce on the field, and there's nobody else that was on the starting depth. Like, I don't know what he's supposed to do. And so I'm not excusing it. His play was horrendous. I get where he's coming from with it. I do understand. And I feel like on the other side of the bye, we hit the reset button. We get a week off. He gets some extra time in practice with Jalen Reagor, a guy who he has not got to work with very much. He gets to work through some of those issues. And then he gets another cupcake. It's the Giants. They're a terrible defense. If he can just stabilize, if he can get his offensive line, but I still believe in the guy. But, man, Sunday night was brutal. It was tough to watch. And there's no way that we can look at the last 2 seasons and say that Howie's roster with Doug as the coach and play caller and Carson as the QB, it's not working. And so what do? Like something in that formula is not working. What I don't know what, but some part of it's not working. And there's well, should I save this? Maybe this fits better in a little bit.
Yeah, well, let's save it till we start breaking down the offense and start grading the offense.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Actually, I have a positive I want to touch on before we start getting into grades. The Eagles' wide receiving core, the young receiving core of the Eagles. If there was a bright spot, something positive last Sunday night, Travis Fulgham, Jalen Reagor, first time together on the field together. I thought they looked terrific. Fulgham now has 435 yards, 4 touchdowns, at least 70 yards in 4 or 5 games. He now leads the NFL in yards after week 4. I thought like 2 weeks ago we were having this discussion about Travis Fulgham, whether this guy's a flash in the pan or, maybe he might be a number 2 or number 3 wide receiver moving forward. I don't know. Like you take all those stats I just said, throw them out the book. That guy has poise. That guy looks like a veteran. I think the conversation now is whether or not he's a number 2, number 3 wide receiver, or maybe a number 1 wide receiver. That's how impressed I was. And I got to give my boy Jalen Reagor some props. Rob, you know where I'm going with this. I was getting buried from the Justin Jefferson hate since the season started. Jalen Reagor, first touchdown, got a 2-point conversion. I really like what I'm seeing from Jalen Reagor and Travis Fulgham. We look at Carson Wentz. He was 9 of 12, 94 yards and 2 touchdowns to Jalen Reagor and Travis Fulgham last Monday night. The rest of the team, it was complete garbage, 43 yards on the air. So go ahead.
I will say, Dibes, I was going to text you when he dropped that 4th down touchdown just to mess with me and be like, Justin Jefferson makes that catch 100 times out of 100. But I left it alone at that point. But that was actually my cousin texted me. He was like, oh, man, Reagor almost had that's a great play by the corner. And I absolutely hit him with it. I went, yeah, Justin Jefferson doesn't let the corner knock that ball away. Strong hands. I was having a little bit of fun with that one. But no, he was good. I agree.
Anyone have any other final takes, points versus the Dallas Cowboys?
And Brandon Graham,
yeah,
I talked about him in my game review a little bit, but I love that guy. Like he had such a rocky start to his career. He gets drafted. He's out of a scheme fit. He's constantly compared to Earl Thomas. Everything was about Earl Thomas. That's who the Eagles should have taken. And he's turned into a really good player. He makes the biggest play in Eagles history in the Super Bowl, the strip sack of Tom Brady. But he's never had a double-digit sack season. Never been to a Pro Bowl. He's on pace for both this year. Yep. And even just him bailing out Carson Wentz early in that game after the first Wentz fumble. The Cowboys, they're potentially about to score to go up 10-0, and this game could just start to snowball. And he comes up with a big strip sack again. You can't say enough good things about him. And for a guy who I've watched for a long time, and he's never gotten the respect he deserves, I love watching him have kind of this breakout year this year. It's been great to watch.
Yeah. All right, let's roll on to grading the offense. Shane, sorry to interrupt you, buddy. You lead us off. What grade would you give the Eagles offense out of 10?
Okay, so the offense has been terrible, right? They're 26th in yards per game. They're 23rd in points per game. We're bottom third of the NFL, and this is playing NFC East opponents. So I'd give them a 3. I'd probably give them a 2, but Fulgham's worth a point on his own. And it's hard to grade because we've had 14 different offensive line combinations and all that, but I'm done with the injuries. Injuries are just a way of life in Philly for whatever reason. So we just got to go with it. We can't say but injuries for 4 years in a row. So the offense it's been really bad. So I'm going to give it a 3.
All right. Got you for a 3. You're up, Dylan.
I'm going to go with a 4. I'll up by 1. I can't give him 50% by anything. But my reason being for the offense is Doug Peterson, Dobbs, and you talked about it to open the show. Look, everyone, it's the easy thing to blame the quarterback, right? When the quarterback doesn't play well, that's the easiest thing to see for most people. But when you actually look into the game plan, the play calling, adjusting to what the defense is doing and giving you, just watching Doug Peterson and Boston Scott run the ball down Dallas's throat and he completely go away from it it just he has absolutely killed this team. Injuries as well. Like this is the 8th different offensive line combination in 8 weeks. The receivers are a revolving door. Both their tight ends have been hurt. Miles Sanders has missed 3 games of 8. So look, and you got to give the injuries a little bit of credit to that 4. But I saw a stat the other day, and I said to you guys before the show, Doug does nothing to help out Carson Wentz. Nothing. And with that being said, and I know it's not the same personnel. They don't have the 3-headed or 2-headed back monster in the backfield. They don't have the same offensive line, whatever. But in the 2017 9-game win streak, Wentz threw more than 32 passes in a game one time. This season, he's thrown 40-plus passes in 5 of 8 games. So my question to you guys is, I know it's the offensive line. Miles Sanders has been in and out, but why is it not okay to run the ball because of the offensive line and the running back, but it's okay to drop your franchise quarterback 40-plus times back in the pocket with that offensive line and that wide receiver group? Why is that a thing? He does nothing to help him out. The Dallas game specifically, Boston Scott had 3 carries for 45 yards, averaging 15 yards a carry from under center. What does Carson Wentz do really well? Getting out of the pocket and throwing on the run. Where's the play action bootleg? Where is it? 3 plays in a row, Boston Scott ran for 3 first downs or 2 first downs and 8 yards on first down. No play action bootleg. He does nothing, and that's my reason for it being a 4.
Well said. You're up, Rob.
It's a 2, and I'll tell you why it's a 2. First of all, Carson Wentz has not been good. Not been good enough. Number 2, the offensive line. I understand there's been a lot of injuries, but that's the offensive line and the depth that you allowed to come into this season with. So, Howie, that's on you. Number 3, Travis Fulgham. It's an unbelievable story. But guess what, Howie? You cut his ass and then had to bring him back. So you almost screwed that one up too. So I'm not going to give you credit. Everyone wants to give Howie credit for that. Dude, you know, listen. You were every now and again you could find some shit somewhere. You know what I mean? You could find a little bit of treasure somewhere. And that's what happened there. And the biggest one for me is Doug Peterson. I think Doug Peterson is arrogant. I think Doug Peterson has lost his touch. I think he's guessing more than he's confident at this point. I think he goes for it now so that he doesn't lose the stigma of being the big balls Doug guy.
Ever since he played for the tie.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. Listen, I look, Doug Peterson said after the Super Bowl, this is the new norm. So you set the bar where you set it, and you have shit the bed since. You've shit the bed since as a head football coach of this team. And it's an absolute disgrace, if you ask me, that they decided with everything going on, with all the problems the offense had last year, to not hire a true offensive coordinator. To try and get this whole conglomerate of offensive minds, by the way, none of which apparently talked to Carson Wentz. So to me, that's an absolute disgrace. It's an absolute abomination. And you're getting a 2 from me because, damn it, this is COVID Venom Day. All right, I'm spitting the COVID Venom at you. You get a 2.
All right, I got you down for a 2. Offense, I have to go with 3 out of 10. If you look at the stats, the majority of the offensive stats tell you that the Eagles are in the bottom third of the league. The Eagles have been really hit or miss on offense, and rarely, do you ever see this team put 4 quarters together, at least the last 2 years. The Eagles averaged 9.3 points per first half this year. The offense has mostly been non-existent in the first half, especially over the last 3 games. 0 versus the Ravens, 10 points versus the Giants, 7 last Sunday night versus the Cowboys. At the start of the season, you saw the Eagles not be able to score anything in the second half. Now, they can't get it together on offense, whether it's the first half or second half. You look back, we're in the middle of the league in offensive yards and efficiency in 2018 and 2019. Now they're among the worst in the league in efficiency in 2020. In 2017, they were the 7th most efficient offense in the NFL. You touched on that, Dylan. It's just, I think you guys touched on it. It's time to recognize the problem, and that's Doug Peterson. It's time to move on from the 2 tight end set. This is just my opinion, but the future of the NFL is not the 2 tight end set. It is spreading the ball. It is spreading the field, 3 to 4 wide receiver sets, speed, speed, speed. The Eagles offense simply doesn't do enough of that. And you look at how much they run 2 tight end sets, way more than any team in the NFL. It doesn't work. It doesn't. They caught lightning in a bottle in 2017. Hooray. That was the best time of my life. But, we see the Eagles, like I circle back to Doug Peterson, because when we do see an advantage, what does Doug Peterson do? He consistently goes away from it. You touched on it, Dylan. Like when you see Boston Scott, bam, 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 10 yards, 10 yards, 10 yards. He then goes pass, pass, pass. He does that all the time. And it's like, it's just nauseating. And I give it a 3 because the one thing the Eagles do well, they don't do enough of. I know they've been gashed by injuries on the offensive line, but when the Eagles do run the ball, they're one of the best in the league. And it's just baffling that Doug Peterson wouldn't help Carson Wentz by establishing the run game. It's just nauseating. Common sense and logic do not apply when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. It does not matter who the Eagles play on Sundays. Not at all. It does not matter. They will play lower than their capability, and it'll probably be a close game, and they will probably shit the bed, especially when it comes to the second half of the schedule that's coming. It just simply does not matter, in my opinion. Let's go on to defense. Lead us off, dude.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
I want to give my offense spiel now. So we all hit the average grade here is a 3, right? Clearly not good enough. And so what's the solution moving forward? We've got 3 things at play. We've got Howie's roster, Doug's coaching, and Carson Wentz playing quarterback. That trio is not working. Remember after the Super Bowl season when we all played the game of, what's most important to the franchise? If you could only keep one, who would you keep? Well, I don't know. We thought they were all great. Turns out the combination's not. And so there's 3 options. All right, option 1 is you get rid of Howie and you see if somebody else builds a better roster. Okay. Now, that's a complete rebuild. That's not viable in the middle of the season anyways. And with COVID next year and the cap, it's not going to happen because for whatever you think about him as a drafter, he's the cap guy. So he's staying. That's not on the table. Which leaves you with option 2. You can get rid of Carson and you can see if he's holding Doug back. Okay. That's not financially viable. He's got like $100 million in dead cap. Now you could bench him and play Jalen Hurts, which I'm not advocating for. That's not going to do anything, but theoretically you could do it. Third option is you get rid of Doug and you see if he's holding Carson back. That one's viable, but only if you're getting rid of him just as the play caller. Like, I want Doug Peterson as the head coach. You see how he coaches through adversity. Players respond to him. As bad as the season's been, you haven't seen guys quit like the Cowboys players have. You want Doug Peterson as the head coach, but somebody else has to call the plays. Like, I don't know if you want it to be Scangarello, Marty Morningweg, somebody, but I want Doug to hand over play calling, do what he does best, which is manage the locker room, be that steadying presence. But I'm over Doug calling plays. Like, I want somebody else doing that. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but at least you can spend the second half of this season eliminating one of the variables.
Yeah, man, you took the words right out of my mouth. I've been screaming that for the last several weeks. So I've been trying to – I don't want Doug out of the locker room. I think there's clearly something about Doug Peterson, whether it's his ice cream choice in that locker room or it's like but when he's cornered, the players rally behind him. I don't know why, but he's definitely a player's coach. He's got that. No one can deny that, but no one else can deny at how piss poor the offense has been these last 2 years. It's as anemic as ever. Let's go on to defense. Rob, you're up, dude.
Such a tough one for me because I really can't stand Jim Schwartz anymore. I mean, even in a game where everyone talked, the defense was great on Sunday. Keep in mind that the defense was playing the pride of James Madison University, a quarterback who was so bad that he's benched already, right? That they're benching him for Cooper Rush or another guy I know nothing about. So, yeah, they played well. Listen, Brandon Graham has been an unbelievable bright spot on this defense. I agree with Shane. I mean, what Brandon Graham has had to endure in this town, and to become the leader he is, and to be playing maybe his best football ever at this point of his career, is very commendable. But this defense has been the only thing they've been consistently is inconsistent. You know, they've had these games where they've looked like, okay, where they're getting back into a rhythm, everything's good. And then they had the games where they're giving up 38 points, back-to-back weeks. I'll give them a 3, but I got to be honest with you. Jim Schwartz is the major issue. I know that there's definitely some player issues, right? We've talked about the linebackers. I thought the linebackers looked okay the other night without
was that?
Or without our boy on the field. I thought TJ Edwards played a good game. I thought your boy Bradley Dibes, when he gets out there, he makes a bit of an impact. I'm over Jalen Mills. I'm just over Jalen Mills. I'm over jumping up after not making a play and wagging his finger like he just made the greatest play on defense. The defensive line has gotten better. I think Josh Sweat has been a guy that, you've seen improvement from. Derek Barnett, you don't even know if he's out there half the time. I got to be honest with you. I mean, that's just that pick's looking like shocker. It didn't work out again. So I'll give them a 3 because they have had a couple games that were pretty good. But until Jim Schwartz stops with the sticks defense and all this nonsense of making Nate Gary play 100% of the plays, they're not going to be better than that.
All right. Got you down as a 3. You're up, Dylan.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a 3 too.
Okay.
Because I think the offense has been stale, vanilla, plain, stagnant, whatever word you want to throw at it. It's been really bad. But they put up, you could say whatever you want about the Rams game with the offense. Bottom line is, what did we give up? 37 points against the Rams? And then you fast forward to the Pittsburgh and the Ravens game. The Eagles, stale, vanilla, stagnant offense, yes, in the first half, put up 57 points against the top 2 defenses in the National Football League, and it wasn't good enough because Jim Schwartz's defense gave up well over 30 in both of those games. Yes, they looked really good for most of the game besides a Daniel Jones turf monster tackle against the New York Giants, but if it's not for an Evan Engram wide-open drop off his fingertips, they lose that game on another 3rd and whatever play. Reminded me, when he was running that route, it reminded me of the DK Metcalf play last season when he was just beat Jalen Mills for a first down to end the game. And then, yeah, you could say they dominated against Ben DiNucci and the Cowboys. I really don't got much for you. I think Ben DiNucci had he had the most turnover worthy plays on Sunday night, and we had 2 turnovers, not an so. They don't force enough turnovers. Rob made a great point. I thought the linebackers actually looked serviceable, a.k.a. 47, Dark Pfizer, wasn't on the field. I hope Jim Schwartz just continues to say, your hamstring hurts, right? Your hamstring hurts, right? You stay right there where you are. But the defense is interesting to me, though, going forward. They've been awful, in my opinion, but if the linebackers can be serviceable – with Darius Slay back in the secondary, and the defensive line can dominate these big games coming up, the defense can probably keep you in some games. But so far, they've gave up over 30 in how many of the first 8 games? 5?
Yeah. All right. I got you down as a 3. You're up, Shane.
I'm going to give them a 5. I'm a little higher on the defense. I am not higher on Schwartz. I thought Schwartz should have been fired 2 years ago. I thought he should have been fired last year. I thought he should have been fired 2 weeks ago and last week. Pretty much the sooner they fire him, the better. I'm done with Schwartz. But, the defense, they're 16th in points, 9th in yards. Now, again, they're playing in the NFC East, so they're not playing great opponents. But Brandon Graham's having a great year. Josh Sweat has had not so quietly, I guess. He's had a good year. Darius Slay, he's been a good pickup. He's played really well. I think I read that he's not allowed over 50 yards in any game this year or something like that. I don't know if that's true, but I think I saw that.
57.
What was it?
57.
57. Yeah. Rodney McLeod's been good. So, there's been good pieces at every level of the defense except for the linebacker position. But, at the end of the day, they've been put in terrible situations by the offense too. I mean, some of the situations that they were put in against the Cowboys and only allow 9 points is impressive, even if it's Ben DiNucci. And so, I mean, far from what I want the defense to be, but I've got to rate them higher than the offense because the offense has been horrendous. So I give them a 5.
Oh, nice. Got you a 5. I'm also a 3. If you guys already know where this is going, I'm not gonna go on a spiel about Jim Schwartz. We ranked who is to blame between Jim, Doug, Carson, and Howie, and Jim Schwartz was my number 1. This guy continues to not be able to identify talent, especially in the draft. He has no idea what he's looking at in terms of players and putting them in his defense, and his defense simply doesn't work. I can't say enough how much I hate Jim Schwartz. That guy just sickens me every single week. You nailed it, Shane. This was like the first thing the Eagles should do. I think we did a pod on how to fix the Eagles. My number 1 was get rid of Jim Schwartz. I think my number 2 was get rid of Doug Peterson play calling, and so on and so on. But Jim Schwartz, you got to go, man. I'm going to give you a 3. And then we get to special teams. I'm okay with special teams. I know Jake Elliott's only 8 of 12 on the season, 1 of 4 from 50 plus, but Cameron Johnston, he's pretty good. 2nd in the league in average, 4th best in net, and 7th best inside the 20. I'm going to go a 7 for special teams. What about you, Shane?
I think special teams has been terrible, in my opinion. Elliott's got the 2nd worst field goal percentage in the NFL. You know what the longest punt return that the Eagles have on the year is? It's 11 yards.
Is it?
11 yards. The return game's terrible. Cameron Johnston's good, but when you're going to brag on, hey, our team's got a really good punter, that tells you a lot about the rest of your team. I think Phipps should be gone. When's the last time the Eagles have had good special teams? I don't remember.
What?
Is it Deshaun Jackson returning punts against the Giants, the Miracle of the Meadowlands? Is that
Westbrook?
I don't know. I think the special teams is underachieved for years, but this year it's absolute rock bottom. I thought about giving him a 0, but Johnston at least gets the 1 for me.
1? All right. Go ahead, Dylan.
Yeah, I'll keep him at a 3. Cam Johnston's great. Their punt coverage is pretty good, but like Shane said, what's their longest return? 11 yards. You get nothing from the special teams in that aspect. Jake Elliott can see his way out the door as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, congratulations. We got a good punter. But
the last time Jake Elliott was good was in his first game after he missed that easy field goal and Jason Peters got on him, and then he hit the 61-yarder. Perhaps the most useful thing Jason Peters could do for this team for the rest of this year is just yell at Jake Elliott, because I sure as heck don't want to see him playing left tackle again.
Rob.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a 3. I think Jake Elliott has been terrible. I think when you see him miss a chip shot field goal, you could tell he is totally in his head. I think the return game sucks. I think the return game has sucked here literally, and I mean this. The last time they had a return game, kickoff and punt return that I was excited about was Brian Mitchell. And I mean that. I know that Deshaun Jackson was a fun punt returner, but they didn't have a kick returner. What's that?
Darren Sproles at all?
Yeah, forgive me. Yeah, you got Darren Sproles. I'll give you Darren Sproles. But I mean, I feel like every year they just say, all right, let's see who's on our roster. Let's throw him back to return a kick. Or it's just they don't – you see these teams that have specialists on special teams. The Eagles don't. And a microcosm of what the Eagles preseason or our special teams has been this year is when there's a pooch kick in the air and no one friggin' catches the ball in the air the other night. I mean, that's an absolute joke. That's not holding players accountable as a coach. Dave Phipp has done nothing the last few years. Get his ass out. They're about a 3 for me, and that's probably just because of Cam Johnson.
Our punt returner is a former quarterback. Just think about that for a minute. The best person we can put out there to field punts used to play quarterback. That's insane.
Watch it, buddy. Watch it.
Your boy dropped the pass the other night too, Dives.
What's that?
Your boy dropped the first down pass the other night too.
I know.
I was impressed that Dives published my Greg Ward slander in the game review, but
all right, here we go, guys. Here are our grades. We have 30% grade for the offense. Any take on that, guys? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, I just appreciate you guys matching me. And that obviously makes you right. So
then the defense average is 35%. I mean, just a little tad better than the offense. I think that's, I guess, correct. Any takes on that?
Yay.
I'm back and forth. I'm back and forth because I agree with Shane to a point, but like I said, like you put up 50, like you put up what 27 and 29 or whatever against two of the best defenses in football, and you were done.
You never know what you're going to get from the Eagles defense. That's the problem. All right, and then we got special teams average 35%, which is 33% average score for the Philadelphia Eagles through 8 games this season. What is that? What else does that tell you? The Eagles are terrible. I don't even know what else to say beyond that. Anyone else got something to say about that?
But you know what? But we need to understand that in this town. They're not a good football team. And I think too many people are still stuck on this idea. Listen, look, I don't get a lot right when I make predictions, right? I don't get a lot right. A la the Dallas Cowboys. I know. I don't get a lot right. But I believe I sat here in the preseason and said, I don't think this team's very good. Like they had holes everywhere, and basically they needed everything to go perfectly for that not to hurt them, and nothing's gone perfectly. And you see what they are. They're an average to below average football team that may get 7 or 8 wins because of the division they play in. You know what I mean? And the fact that they have 3 already, if they beat the Giants, they have 4, then they just have to come up with 3, to get to 7. And you have Dallas again, you have Washington again. You have games against a couple other teams that you may be able to squeak a win out. But, I mean, Jesus, they're just not good. They're not a good football team.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, Rob. When you go back and listen to our pods before the season started, like we kind of crapped on this team because we saw all these red flags. We saw all these holes. So little pat yourself on the back there, man. But we absolutely nailed it. Any final takes before we do plugs?
I was reading back through my preseason articles, the 5 reasons the Eagles might suck and 5 reasons they might be good. And it's just like, you can just go down the list and see like everything. Like, it's like everything that I've listed that like, if this goes wrong, they could be bad. Like they've all gone wrong. And so, I mean, it's just like, I don't know, 2020, man. Yeah. But like, this is the Eagles though, right? In 2018, after week 8, what was their record? They were 4-4. In 2019, week 8, they were 4-4. 2020, they're 3-4-1. Like it's what they've been. They've started slow, but the last 2 years they've been 5-3 in the last half of the season. They always make a run at the end. And so like, I mean, it's frustrating. I want to be excited about the team like I was in 2017, but it's how the Eagles start. And I hate it, but I love how they finish. And I really do think that the bye week is perfectly placed. And I mean, when you get, I know Ertz was terrible at the start of the year, but you get Ertz back. And if you can get some stability in this offense, if you can get Peters back to right guard and get Mailata and Lane as your offensive tackles, if you get Samalo back, like I don't want Alshon or Deshaun back. Our receivers are fine, but like you can get some consistency on this offense. Like I could see how in a month we're sitting here talking ourselves into the fact that maybe the Eagles can make a run. Because maybe Carson Wentz is out of his own head. The offense is which, I mean, I don't know. Last year we came out of the bye week more injured than we went into it. But if they can get healthy, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm delusional. It's a sickness. But
no,
I still feel like maybe they can make a run at the end of the season here. I don't know.
I'm with you. My final thoughts are they're not a very good team right now. That's what I was trying to make that point about the Cowboys game. But to Shane's point, the offensive line is only going to get healthier. So Lane will be back after the bye week. Miles Sanders should be back after the bye week. If Ertz isn't back after the bye week, he should be back versus Cleveland after the Giants game. It was only Goddard and Rager's first game back versus the Cowboys. The defense is mostly healthy now. So this bus is going to go as far as 11 takes them. And that's the bottom line. If the defense is serviceable and good enough and the defensive line can dominate games and the offense is fully healthy, if Carson Wentz is the Carson Wentz of the New York Giants game, of the second half of the Ravens game, of the Final Four last season, you're right. You're 100% right. I'll be sitting here in a month talking myself into a playoff. Maybe they can make some noise. But with that being said, and I just saw this comment.
There he is.
And I know who that is.
I think we know who that is.
I think the show's over.
How bad is Carson Wentz? That's our boy Vinny Vaults. Thanks for joining during our preview show and our pregame show, Vinny Vaults.
Shane, can I ask you a question?
Get out of here.
Yes.
Is Dak Prescott a top 3 quarterback?
No.
How about top 5?
Is Dak Prescott a top 5 quarterback?
Fringe. I would say, and I've had this discussion before, but I would put Wentz and Prescott in similar buckets, and I'm going to put them both in like that 5 to 8 range. Like if Wentz gets back to 2017, he's top 3 in my book. Like I've seen Dak play at a really high level. Eagles fans love to throw out the, division on the line last year. They only put up how many ever point. Like everybody knows he was hurt in that game. Everybody knows he was hurt. He could barely throw the ball. He was out there. Like if Wentz was in the same scenario, playing with cracked ribs or whatever it is, like we'd be making excuse. I get it, but no, I listen to that. There's no possible way he's a top 3 quarterback, but I'll give him like that 5 to 8 range. Yeah,
there's a lot of similarities. We talked about that during the pregame show, is that they both can't win the big game. They can't beat teams over 500, and that's been kind of Carson's crutch, and so as for Dak Prescott. Let's do plugs. Rob, you're up, man.
I don't even know. The man this week, I don't know if it's happened tomorrow night. We got to see how I wake up. I will say that tonight has been my most fluish feeling night. So if I wake up tomorrow and I can't move, there may not be a madness tomorrow night. Outside of it, it's only right that 2020 is coming down to, the Eagles being what they are, me actually testing positive for COVID, and basically being around the TV so that for the last 48 hours, I have done nothing but drive myself crazy with election watching, which is like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing to myself. Like, I need to just put a movie on or something, but I'm so hooked in. I don't know, man. Just Sixers, do some stuff in free agency. Make me happy. Have a good draft pick. Give me something. And all of you pray for my sanity even more than my physical health over these 14 days, because I know my physical health will get better. 3 kids under 6, quarantined 24 hours a day for 14 days. I may not make it out of here mentally the right way. So I ask for prayers for my mental health over the next – actually, what am I at? I think I got 9 or 10 days left. I think I'm at 9 or 10 days. So
it's a lot of Jameson. It's a lot of Jameson.
Yeah.
Dylan, you're up, dude.
I would just like to plug Faithful Fanatics podcast. It was at 5:30 today. It'll be 5:30 every Wednesday. Sometimes it gets flexed to Thursdays, but go follow us on our new Faithful Twitter page at FaithfulFans2. I would also like to plug that EPA is a dumbass metric, and I do not care about.
All right, you're up, Shane.
Check out my work on Painted Lines. Give me a follow on Twitter at @halfandhalf_TPL. I'm all Eagles all the time. That's all you're ever going to see on my feed. So, and maybe occasionally Madden stuff when I get really angry at the Madden devs, but I try not to do that too much. It's not good for my mental health. And since I don't have anything else to plug, and since Rob's all laid up in his house under lockdown, so my wife and I started watching the show Community. You guys seen it? Have you guys watched it?
I've never watched it. I heard it's amazing.
Oh my! We got so sucked into this, so we're gonna finish season 4 tonight, and I think we started it like a week ago. So Rob, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Just watch more than like 2 episodes, but it's great.
All right,
so there you go.
My final thought, I just had one, is the only thing getting me through 2020 is that Cobra Kai comes out in January. That's it.
Yeah.
There's something else.
Were any of you guys wrestling fans?
I was back in my heyday. I was.
Did you see that that Bleacher Report thing that came out today?
No.
WWE is collabing with a producer from The Last Dance on an upcoming Stone Cold Steve Austin documentary.
Yeah, let's go. That sounds great.
I'm in. Let's make it happen. I need something.
Oh, man, that sounds awesome. Plugs, we have an action movie draft going down Saturday and Sunday night. That is going to be a blast. Little fun fact, Rob, my wife is joining. We have a special celebrity guest star.
I hope she beats you in one of the first rounds. That's all.
I heard rumors that he cheats in these drafts. I don't know if
What?
that's true or not.
Crazy. It's crazy.
I don't know if it's true.
First it was the burner accounts, and now it's.
I think Dives has about 50 burner accounts that he ends up voting for himself from. So he gets himself 50 votes every time.
Cancel the ballots. Cancel it.
Stop counting. Stop counting.
It's fraudulent.
Lock it down. We're going to sue you all, guys. Come on, man. All right. Make sure you lock it down to thepaintlines.com. Make sure you subscribe here to the Painted Lines YouTube channel. This is Party on Broad for Rob, for Dylan, for Shane, for myself. Thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy.
Sixers win it! Wow! Oh, man, and being just posterized Russell Westbrook. You love the Philadelphia Eagles! Let me get